Hello everyone, welcome to Gardening TLC. I am Michelle and I live in Northern Illinois, Zone 5. We are going to be working in the garden today, specifically in the passageway garden. That is what you guys voted for and that is what we're calling this bed. We are going to be putting the plants in, or as many as we can, right now this morning before the rain moves in. So hopefully we can get everything in the ground and get it mulched. So come along with me today and let's get our hands in the dirt. Come on! Did you see how easy I eradicated those weeds? This is what I like to do in an area that I'm prepping for the next year's garden. So we have this beautiful wine and roses woodula in here, but around it was just a lot of weeds. Last year I had cosmos that were growing in this area and I loved them, but they were really too big for this area behind the woodula. This year, I'm not gonna plant anything in this area. I just wanna get it ready so that if I do wanna plant something next year, it's ready to go. So if you can plan and be a year ahead of where you're going next in your garden, you can actually eradicate the weeds without using any chemicals. And what I've done was I just went through and I pulled the weeds just so that they were a little bit lower to the ground. I actually didn't like pull them up from the root. I was just pulling the tops of the weeds off. Then what I did was I layered cardboard in this area. Now it's gonna take a minute for that cardboard to break down, and I did pull all of the packing tape and things like that off of the cardboard so that it was just cardboard. Now typically I would get the cardboard wet, but we've got rain coming today in about 4 hours, so this will get watered in no problem. The next step is to put compost on top of it. So not only am I improving my soil, but I'm smothering those weeds with the cardboard, putting the compost on top, which that rich nitrogen in there is going to help break the cardboard down, and then I'm going to top it with mulch. I'm not going to garden in this area at all this year. Now the one thing I will do is I will add a pre-emergent like this right here. I like to use a product called Snapshot. And what a pre-emergent does is it stops new weed seed from germinating, because birds drop seed, the wind drops seeds. If you have dandelions in your neighbor's yard, inevitably those seeds come to your yard. So this is going to stop any of those seeds from germinating. So I'm not planting anything here. I'm just going to let it sit for a year, and then next year if I decide that I want to plant in this, the cardboard will have started to break down and then I can plant in it. But what I definitely accomplished was the smothering of the weeds. Isn't this a pretty arch? This leads to the cottage garden, of which you can see I've done no maintenance in yet. I'll get to it next week. Sometimes things are just on hold and you'll get to it when you get to it. Isn't that the way the gardening life goes sometimes? Well, for me this year, that's the way it's been. But one of the things that I decided to do on this beautiful trellis that leads to my really messy cottage garden right now is not plant a climbing rose. Last year we put Lady of Shalott roses on here, thought they were climbers, and they weren't. But while that happened, it was kind of that thing that you went, oh, light bulb, you know, I really don't think 4 feet is wide enough to do climbing roses on this, because they grow so thick and lush that I think the opening shrinks down too small and you're either hacking away at your roses or you're snagging yourself on thorns. So no climbing roses for me going into this. This year, or I think at the end of last year, I pretty much decided I'm going to try my hand at growing annual vines. So this year, on either side, and you can see I did dump some compost right here because the hole was left from when we dug up the roses. But what I decided to do was plant my first annual vine. And for me, can you believe it? I've never really gotten into growing annual vines, but this year I am. And I thought maybe I'd try a different one every year and we can always change it out. So this first year, I'm going to grow this one from Proven Winners. This is a Thumbergia. Some people call it I think they call it a black-eyed Susan vine. I chose the orange appeal. And for me here in Zone 5, this is an annual. So it's going to grow one and done. It's going to grow anywhere from 60 to 96 inches. So we're hoping that this thing will grow all the way up this trellis. So we put one on either side so that they'll climb, get to the center and totally fill this thing out. I'm also hoping that if I fertilize it every week with a water-soluble fertilizer, which we will do at the same time that we water all of our pots, that they'll grow up and meet in the center and be absolutely glorious. All right, so that was what you saw me throw in the ground, and we're gonna have high hopes for those and hope that they do well. Now, if you live in zone 10 or 11, this is actually a perennial. All right, I'm loving it. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we are gonna get our zinnia seeds planted. Now, back in the fall, I offered some zinnia plants or seeds for sale for planting that we were going to do in this garden, and it was the 2025 Zinnia Seed Blend, and I know some of you got that. We're going to do the 3 different ones that we have in the seed blend, and we're going to plant them right here. Let's talk about the 3 beautiful zinnias that we're going to plant in this area. All of the seeds came from Johnny's Seeds, and we are going to be planting them in layers so that the taller ones are in the back, then we'll have a medium height one in the middle, and then the shorter ones in the front. So let's talk about the ones that are going to go in the very, very back. I will put pictures of what each of these looks like up on the screen so that you can see, and then as they're growing, we'll show you. Now, last year I planted zinnias from seeds, and I didn't have any problems with them coming in, but I do know I've seen quite a few rabbits out here this year. I think I actually need to maybe put some asters in the garden. I find that my rabbits here really like asters. They were eating all the asters in the front garden, and I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I plant those and let them eat those so that they'll leave everything else alone. I'm actually going to try that and see if that works again this year. So I ordered like 3 or 4 different asters. Now, if they end up growing up, great. If the rabbits eat them and leave everything else alone, great. It's a win-win all the way around. All right, so the zinnias, what we're going to do is we're going to direct sow. To direct sow zinnias in the ground, you need the ground to be above 50 degrees. You want all danger of frost to be over. Now, you can absolutely start these in seed trays, get them a little bit ahead, and then plant the little transplants out. You can absolutely do that. I just like to direct sow them right in the ground. I'm actually a little bit later than normal getting them in the ground, but we've had a really cold spring. I feel like it's, it's the beginning of June, and it's just now starting to warm up. The one thing when you plant them in the ground though is you do only put them like a 1/4 inch down, and you want to keep them consistently moist while you're waiting for them to germinate. So that means you need to get out here 2 and 3 times a day and get the top of that surface soil wet so that the seed stays wet so that the seed will germinate. Now, it only takes 3 to 5 days for zinnia seeds to germinate, and I'm going to be planting them kind of in a line so that we can see where they are. I do have weeds that want to come up in this bed, but I can't put pre-emergent down where I'm putting the zinnia seeds, because guess what pre-emergent does? Stops weed seed from germinating. So if I do that, these are not germinating. Now again, these all come from Johnny's Seeds, and the one that's going to go in the back, the very tallest, it's going to be the Benares Giant Carmine. This is the tallest one, getting anywhere from 36 inches all the way up to, that's 3 feet. They could get up to like 5 feet. So it really depends on your growing conditions. These guys are going to be in full sun. We're talking sun up to sundown. They're going to be in the sun. And I think last year they probably got close to 4 feet tall. So that's a pretty good height. And these are going to be the layer in the back. Now we're gonna drop down a layer, and we're also gonna grow a Oklahoma pink. And so that's the next one that we're gonna do, and that one gets anywhere from 28 to 36 inches, so we're now a layer down. The shape of the flower is a little bit different, but it's kind of the same, and the pink is definitely a different color. So we'll have the Benares in the back, and then we'll have the Oklahomas next, and then the bottom layer, we are gonna be doing a double Zahara raspberry ripple. So we're gonna do all 3 layers of those in the garden. I think they're gonna be absolutely beautiful. We'll watch to make sure that they come in well. And the one thing with zinnias that you wanna do maybe is pinch the zinnias after the first bud or bloom comes out. What that does is it helps it branch out and repeat bloom stronger, especially if you want to be cutting the flowers. Now, that's not something you absolutely have to do. I grew zinnias last year, didn't pinch a one of them. I picked hundreds of flowers off the zinnias, and they were great. And for me, it really is about, do I get it done or don't I get it done? It's about timing. It's about whether or not I have time to get it done. I don't cry over it if I don't get it done. And for me, easy gardening is the best kind of gardening. So I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna pinch them, because in all reality, I know myself well enough. I'll be happy if I get them watered. So I probably won't be doing any pinching. But if I do pinch them, I will show you what I'm doing for sure. All right, so that's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna get the zinnia seeds in the ground. We've got that rain coming, so they're gonna get nice and watered in. And then we're gonna come over to this side of the bed in front of the wall, and we're gonna cut out the fabric. Now, the fabric was originally put down because I didn't want a bunch of weeds growing in here. And if you've been following me, you know that this has been a process over here, and this was cut out quite a while ago. And if I had just left this open, this would be weed city. So I'm really happy that I put the fabric down, but I don't want to plant in the fabric. I want to cut the fabric out on this side of the rocks, add compost, and then I'm going to mix the native soil with the compost and plant everything in. I am leaving the fabric down, however, on the other side of the rocks where we are going to have the path, because it just makes it so much easier for weed control when you do that. All right, it's starting to get kind of humid out here, so I'm actually going to get my hair put up, get my headband on, and let's just get busy. Plant everything on this side of the wall first. Now, I won't get everything on this side of the wall done today. I'm racing rain, and the clouds are already starting to roll in, so I'm hoping it doesn't rain sooner than I think it will. I need to get the things that are in the bigger containers in the ground. I lived with it for a week. I like everything that's over here. I actually added something you can see, and we'll talk about the specs of that. And I want to make sure that I get them in the ground. Watering it for the last week has been a total pain in the butt, but I'm really glad that I waited, because it helped me decide what I wanted to add. I did move a few things around, and so I think it was a wise decision on my part to do that. But today, let's go as fast as we can, get them in the ground. I'm gonna plant all of this first, and then I'm gonna cut the fabric out on the other side, and then you'll see, look, I got a little something to talk about that I decided to add to the bed. Let's get going. First this side, then the fabric. was a rough week for my little friend here. Lots and lots of wind. And then I was gone at the Clem Garden Fair for 2 days, and I didn't get them watered one day. And they don't like that when they're in their pots. And so he suffered a little bit. But how many of you have found plants like this on a sale table or a scratch and dent table? And then you took it home and you were hoping that it was going to live. Well, let me up your odds of keeping it alive. And that is, don't waste energy on this kind of stuff. Cut that stuff out of there. See the flowers? They're done. I don't need those anymore. And the broken branches, well, they're not going to grow, or they're going to struggle growing. So I'm going to groom this thing up and then put it in the ground. It's going to grow new foliage. Right now, I'm not trying to grow flowers. I'm trying to grow roots. So when you find those scratch and dents or those sale items, don't be afraid to cut them back, fertilize them, get them in the ground, keep them watered, and you'll have a beautiful, healthy plant. Uh-oh. Wasn't supposed to rain till 3. We have to hustle. Oh, that's looking pretty ominous. Let's take a look at what we got done so far. All right, this is a Golden Falls Redbud. I love this. I think this is going to be perfect here. Isn't that great? I'll put the specs up on the screen because I kind of want to see if I can get the fabric cut out before the rain comes. Let's take a look at what else I did. These are the Baby Joe pieweed, and I basically popped one up that was right here, and I just pushed it right over here. I planted all 8 of the foxglove, and I have 3, 4, 5 in the front. 6 in the front. There's one that doesn't have a flower on it right there. And then I popped 2 in the back there. And I did get the tattered leaves off of this blue angel hosta. And then we ended up planting 1, 2, 3, 4 of the heaven sent Jacob's ladder. And we did get the butterfly bush in the garden right there. So this front area is done. And I'm so bummed. I thought I was going to get a lot further than this. That's what happens when you have to move cameras around. You just go so much slower. But I'm going to keep going. Until it rains, I'm going to keep going. That's the end of that for today. Holy cow, it's really coming down out there. Well, the good news is my car is getting a bath. So I'll tell you a really funny story. So I usually park my car on the other side of the driveway, and Glenn parks his truck right where my car is. And in the porch, we've had these birds that have been trying to build their nests up here. And I keep knocking them down every day. And I think these birds know who I am because they poop all over my car. They don't poop on Glenn's car. They only poop on my car. I know, it's hilarious. So yeah, wash that poop off. All right, well, I don't know. I still might go after this rain is done. We'll see. I don't know how long it's gonna rain. I'll have to look at the radar. Right now it's just lightly sprinkling, but I think that's a wrap for today. There's more weather moving in, and it looks like it's going to be pretty heavy with some serious winds. So I think we're gonna have to call it today, unfortunately. That's all we're gonna get done over there. And then it's supposed to rain again tomorrow. So it might have to dry out for a couple days before we can get back to it, but we will get back to it. We will get it done. Sorry it's taking so long and so many videos to get through it, but you know what? That's Mother Nature and we need the rain. It's been kind of a dry spring. So I will take it and be grateful. So that's all I've got for today, you guys. I'm sorry I didn't get it finished, but you know what? That's how gardening goes. So hang in there, you guys. We'll get it finished and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, everyone.